Isn't it crazy how like all of my videos last year took place in front of this bookshelf and now none of them do? Also, if you're thinking to yourself, did she put on makeup just to film this video? The answer is yes, and we're not going to talk about it further. Anyway, hi! Long time no see. Essentially, I had a bit of a breakdown yesterday and also a bit of a breakdown on Monday. And one thing I wanted to do to kind of for stress relief was rearrange my bookshelves, because as you can see, instead of putting books away, I've just been stacking them on a single shelf and not really thinking about the organization. I pretty much haven't reorganized my bookshelf since I moved in, honestly. I'll link the vlog where I put away all my books the first time. I just wanted to treat myself to a little bit of relaxing time where I just look at my books, rearrange my bookshelves, and also tackle this bookshelf in the corner here. I will show you guys in a minute. That contains mostly my partner's books and then my classics. I don't know if I've showed that on this channel, but I do want to rearrange that a little. So I don't know when I'm going to be posting this, but currently as I'm filming this, the Palestinians are there's still a genocide going on with regards to Palestine. So I implore you, those of you who are watching, to check out the links in my description to find out ways you can help. There's a website where a click will send some money to relief funds via ad revenue and that kind of thing. So I really implore you to check out the links in my description. I won't just have Palestine down there. There's a lot of other things going on. India and Nepal are having really bad waves of COVID, so anything you can do to help out, even if it's just sharing more information, that'd be great. Diego's joined us. You want to say hi, pups? Oh, Mr. Handsome! I'm going to dust the bookshelves really quick because they've gotten quite dusty, and then I will give you a quick pre-organization tour before we get into it. You're so funny, doggy. So yeah, like I said, not much has changed. On this 3x3 bookshelf, all of my books by Filipino authors are on the top here, so I'll just do a quick little pano. That's fun. And then the rest of, well, most of my books are down here, the ones that I've read at least, and I'll show you guys more of that in a second. Up top here we just have a fan. It circulates air, it's great. And my husband's favorite book, so he actually has a copy of the Rage of Dragons, which is definitely his favorite book. I think he likes Fires of Vengeance just as much, but he lent it out to a friend. So usually that's up here as well, and it actually looks really cute with the covers. And also this is the graphic novel version of Dune that his friend got him for Christmas. And then up here are all of my classics and nonfiction. So I think I'm gonna try and reorganize this. These are double stacked, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. And then from here on down are my husband's books. There's a little ottoman here from our couch that we have at the very end of our bed so that Diego can sleep while we are sleeping with us, but not to be directly on our bed just because we move around a lot. And he wanted so badly to kiss me because I have a lipstick on and it probably smells funny to him. Let's get to reorganizing. One City of Brass. Yeah. I recently read Tuesdays with Maury on recommendation from my friend, and I did quite enjoy it. I don't think it was particularly life-changing or anything, but I did think that there were a lot of things that Maury had to teach, I guess, especially about really appreciating life and living it to its fullest, even though it's actually quite long and you can get a lot accomplished. So yeah, I have some tabs here for reminders, but I think this is going to go on that bookshelf. Yeah, Horrid by Katrina Leno, which I read in a reading blog. Oh, look how satisfying that is. I really enjoyed The Wicker King. I don't know if I talked about this book yet, but I don't know, it was just a really good book on the effects of neglect on teenagers, especially ones who don't have the greatest mental health. Yeah, just a lot of things we don't talk about a lot when it comes to mental health and also being a teenage boy. It feels wrong to put it here. I mean, I know I have Tiny Pretty Things with the To All the Boys series, but I think I'm going to put it, these are kind of my darker reads, I'll put this here. Like a love story. Oh, God. Darius the Great is Not Okay is, I blasted through this book in like a day. I loved it so much, related so much to Darius. Just, you know, living every single day with depression and still trying to look at life like it's worth it, and also, you know, little tiny things that make you happy. I don't know. Just so much about this book that really spoke to me, and I loved that it's a YA contemporary where the teen travels to their heritage country and they don't completely hate the country, or they, you know, they don't spend the entire summer skulking because they spent their summer away from friends or whatever. Like, he actually takes advantage of the fact that he's in a foreign country to go visit things and eat the food. He really gets immersed in the culture, and I really, really appreciated that after reading so many YA contemporaries where they just do not do that. I recently read Honey Girl, which I tried to wrap up in a vlog, but I was having a really hard time with all of the news regarding Palestine, so my thoughts weren't really great. Yeah, I wish that the main character had gotten a PhD in any other STEM field. I am too intimately familiar with the PhD astronomy track, so, you know, some of the details and other things that happen in this book were kind of, I don't know why they didn't sit right with me, and it hindered my enjoyment, but it did. But otherwise, I can really see why everyone loves this book and how it's like it really does that post-grad exploration of what the hell do I want to do with my life? I don't know what I'm doing. You know, what was all that effort for? That kind of thing. I really do see that, and I appreciate it as well. It's just the astronomy PhD thing. I guess, like, for me, it was just hard because my goal in life is to help people get a PhD or, you know, have a career in STEM. My goal is to help them figure that out before it's too late. But Wicker King is too late. It's not too late. It's not but she leaves her doctorate and she feels like she has a direction. Like, my dream goal would be, or my dream is, my dream career is to prevent things that happen. It's to have a place to go or know what I want to do after graduation. I still enjoyed this, and I do recommend it, especially if you're in that kind of funk as well. I read Out by Natsuo Kurino, and I don't know if it's the translation or just the content or the book overall, but it wasn't really for me. But my best friend did give to me this copy, and it is her favorite book, so I'm keeping it. I am going to put it on the other shelf, though. Oh yeah, and I recently read The Atlas Six, and I think I wrapped it up in a reading vlog. I enjoyed this. It does deserve the hype that it gets. I didn't personally find it very confusing or anything. I found it very intriguing. I wasn't so much interested in the plot as I was with the characters themselves, because they pose some really important ethical questions with regards to certain powers. But the plot twist at the end, I was kind of kicking myself, because for some reason I thought that the author had just put in a certain character and said, you know, oh, this is an important plot point for another character. Like, this character is just a foil for another character so that that character gets the development. No, the character that they put in had importance, and I didn't see that from the start, but I should have. I don't know, that made me enjoy the book more. So that's pretty much it for reorganizing this bookshelf. I don't really want to touch anything else because I do like how it's set up. Some shelves are in alphabetical order, some shelves are not, so please excuse me for that. This first shelf is YA contemporaries that I really like. Like, this is a mix, honestly, but it's mostly YA contemporaries that I loved. Like, as you guys know, A Very Large Expanse of Sea is probably one of my favorite books of all time, and then the Dimpleverse is here as well. This next shelf is YA fantasy that I really, really enjoy and really recommend. I want to shout out Descendant of the Crane because I read that recently and it blew my freaking mind. Everyone talks about how beautiful it is, and I don't contest that at all. It's definitely beautiful, but the metagame that this book plays, it lives in my mind rent-free. And I actually really want to reread it soon because once you know the plot twist, it changes the whole book. So I think I'm going to reread it. Hopefully this video serves as a reminder to future me to pick this book up again. And then here's the first of my adult fantasy shelves. I just finished Jade War, and that was crazy good. As you guys know, I love the Poppy War trilogy, and also this is the Islands of Blood and Storm duology that I highly recommend, that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but they should talk about, because I feel like if people enjoyed the Poppy War, they will enjoy this duology. So please check this out if you're interested in Poppy War-esque kind of adult fantasy. This middle shelf is YA fantasy / YA contemporary-ish. I don't know, it's like urban fantasies in there too. These are YA fantasies that just absolutely blew my frickin' mind and live in my mind rent-free. As you guys know, Each of Us a Desert became one of my top favorite books after reading it last year. Cemetery Boys, I can't shut up about. The We Set the Dark on Fire duology, absolutely amazing. Legendborn, can't stop talking about that. I'm so excited for a Song of Wraiths and Ruins sequel, which is, I believe, a Psalm of Siege and Storm, or Storm and Siege, and that's coming out rather soon. I'm super excited for that. And then here are some middle grade and YA books. They're all hardbacks, and I think that's the only thing they really have in common, just because, like I said earlier, it's very satisfying when they're all lined up like this. On this shelf, I super recommend Amari and the Night Brothers. Oh my god, you guys, I absolutely fell in love with this book. I had the physical copy, but I also listened to an audiobook via Libro FM, and it was just so magical and so enrapturing. I could not get enough of it. It honestly became my very favorite middle grade fantasy pretty much after the first few chapters, because it blows everything else out of the water. I highly recommend it. This is my second adult fantasy bookshelf that definitely needs some reorganizing. I have all of N.K. Jemisin's books. They're sitting on my TBR for the most part, except for these 4. So my hope is that I read the rest of her books and I fill up an entire shelf with her books. So for now, in addition to the Broken Earth trilogy, I have T.J. Klune's The House in the Cerulean Sea, The Bone Shard Daughter, and The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. The House in the Cerulean Sea definitely deserves all of the hype it's getting. I've recommended it to so many people since reading it, and they come back to me a few weeks later and are like, Mari, this was such a beautiful read. Thank you so much for recommending it to me. So if you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor and try to find yourself a copy, because it really is deserving of all the hype it gets. It's just such a beautiful, comforting read that I think everyone will enjoy. And then this is kind of a miscellaneous shelf. I guess this is more of like my darker reads shelf / book of the month shelf. Yeah, I guess Red, White, and Royal Blue doesn't really fit in here, but anyway. I also buddy read My Dark Vanessa with Justine from Morana Monologues and Veronica from Moon and Coffee Books. And oh my god, you guys, it was such a fun buddy read because the book is so twisted, and you know, when you really want to say like what the fuck to someone, it's really nice to have a buddy read where you can actually say what the fuck to someone. I feel like the entire time we were reading the book, we just kept picking up our phones and going what the fuck in the group chat. So yeah, that was a fun experience, but not necessarily a fun book. And this last shelf is my kind of, I don't want to say shameful YA. It's the contentious YA fantasy shelf. Okay, so we've got what I've read so far of the Shatter Me series, which is not good. Let's be real. I mean, it is Tahiti Mafi's very stylistic writing that I do enjoy, but in terms of pretty much everything else with regards to the book, it's not the greatest. I know people don't really like the Children of Blood and Bone duology series. I don't know if there's gonna be a third book. I don't know if they enjoy that as much as I did, but I did enjoy the books, so I keep them. And Saba Tahir we're not really a fan of right now because there's no both sidesing the Palestine genocide. Just so you know. I don't know, I might move these eventually to my other shelf one day when other books that I like more take its place. Okay, so it looks like there's no way for me to get all of this bookshelf in the frame, but these two bottom shelves don't really matter. And also there's a big mirror right here, which is why it looks like there's another bookshelf, but there is no other bookshelf, it's just a mirror. So yeah, let's get to reorganizing this. Also, I'll let you guys know if my partner notices that I touched his books. I don't think he really cares, but he did rearrange it recently, and I looked at it and I was like, why did you rearrange it like that? There's like 5 billion books on this shelf and none on this shelf, so we're gonna fix that. I went to a local book charity thing, so they have a bunch of secondhand books, CDs, DVDs, all that kind of stuff, and all of the proceeds go to funding the local libraries. So I kind of went ham. I bought a lot of books, but it still didn't come out to much, and I was sad because I didn't have any cash on me and they were only taking cash donations. Anyway, I was very excited though because I found a copy of my favorite book of all time, which is The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, and this is actually the edition I've been looking for a while. This is the Oxford World's Classics version. It has the notes in the back, explanatory notes, just, you know, contextual things that you might miss, and it's also just bigger text, a bigger book. It's like a regular sized book. I have the mass market paperback at my house in California, so yeah, I was just so happy to find this. I might reread this soon just because, you know, having it again in my possession reminds me of how much fun I had reading it the first time, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it the third and the fourth and the fifth time. It brought me so much joy to find a copy of my very favorite book at a donation charity bookstore. So I just picked up The Name of the Wind and the Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, and these are so heavy. Like, one of these books could kill a man, 2 of these books could take out like an entire clown car. My partner likes hilariously large adult fantasy books, especially ones that have like training montages where it's not a chosen one thing, but someone builds up the talent and skill and knowledge to essentially be the equivalent of a chosen one. So if you guys have any recommendations, because he's always looking for a new book, please let me know. I'm so tired of sitting in Barnes & Noble for 3 hours, like, as he looks at the same, you know, however many books, and discovers that there's not really a lot of new stuff that suits his very specific fancy. Okay, that took a lot less reorganizing than I thought it would. These shelves didn't change much. I just added the 3 books that I said I was going to add to my shelves over here, and then this is the one bookshelf, I don't know why, that I have in rainbow mode, mostly because, again, my partner doesn't really care about where his books are so long as they're all in the same place. So I had a little fun with that, and that's all quote-unquote organized. More somewhat color-coded books, again, not really in alphabetical order or anything. These are all just his books with dark or black spines. His chunky book. He also has Gideon the Ninth. Gideon the Ninth is honestly one of the books he will not shut up about. For that, I have also adopted it to my TBR, and I plan to read it soon so that my partner can finally stop asking me to read Gideon the Ninth. Oh, I just realized this book is out of order. It's gonna stress me out. Okay, that's better. And then Gideon the Ninth will go here when I finish reading it. This is pretty much the last shelf that I need to show you because the other 2 shelves don't have anything on them yet. Anyway, that's all I have for this bookshelf reorganization. If you saw any books on the shelves that you would like to hear mine or my partner's thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment down below asking us, and we will happily reply and let you know what we think. I originally was going to include a bit of an unhaul in here, but we actually went through our bookshelves a few days ago and decided to unhaul a bunch of books. But yeah, that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed this little chill bookshelf reorganization with me, as well as a bit of a tour of the books that I have read and own. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Look how precious he is.